Hello YouTube, this is the trigger group housing for the Ruger BX trigger, Ruger's own aftermarket trigger for the 1022. Now the BX trigger is a fairly nice trigger, I like it a lot. I think it's a significant upgrade to the gun. However, it does have one point that annoys me, and that is the trigger itself, which is the same dimensions, the same, it's made the same way as the original manufacturer trigger. So I picked up this guy. This is the Volquartsen 1022 Target Trigger. It's a beautiful flat-faced trigger, and I was assuming that that would fit. And it probably fits any other setup, but it doesn't fit this setup. In order for it to fit this setup, you need to also replace 3 other parts. 2 of these parts are the sear and disconnector, and the last part is the hammer. These 3 parts are unique to the BX trigger and are not compatible, as far as I've been able to tell, with other Ruger triggers. Now, these 2 parts, the disconnector and sear, don't actually fit into this trigger body, because this trigger body is milled smooth, whereas the BX trigger has slots into which you seat the sear and disconnector. So they seat like so. Let me just compress that spring and get my pin in there. So that's how they seat, and these parts are not compatible with this trigger. Now I'm sure you could mill out those slots if you were so inclined, but I'm also sure that would be a huge pain. The final part that needs to be dealt with is the hammer. Look, the fact is they look pretty similar, but there is something different in the geometry of this guy, which means that when you pull the trigger on this hammer, nothing happens, whereas when you pull the trigger on this hammer, it disengages. So those 3 parts you also have to swap out. So in order to make this work, you would need, in addition to this trigger, you would also need a new sear, a new hammer, and a new disconnector. And I'm looking at the prices at Volquartsen right now, and that is $109.50 retail from Volquartsen. We're talking just north of $100 in added expenditure. So I've learned my lesson. Hey, I might actually still just go ahead and get the remaining parts. What you do, that's up to you. I'm not one to judge. Anyway, that will be it. Thank you.